Okay, everyone. Hello again. My name is Megan. For those of you who don't know me, I hope you all know me now, but I'm continuing to know more and more of you each week, so it's awesome. I'm a registered dietitian. That's why I'm here today to speak with you all about healthful eating and weight management. So I hope to continue to do these nutrition classes or these nutrition talks about once a month and just focus on specific topics each month and just learn more with you guys while I teach and educate and learn from you. Okay? So this topic is going to be pretty broad and very general. I think it's a good start to this nutrition class or series because it's going to go over just a lot of basics, but hopefully get a good, well-rounded overview of sort of what healthful eating looks like and how that can be helpful with weight management. All right, we're going to get started. And feel free to interject if at any point I'm speaking too softly or not speaking slowly enough. I'm not used to being microphoned up like this, so bear with me. Okay, so the first slide here is just sort of talking about what is a healthy lifestyle and what is weight management. And this whole topic today is going to be how those two things coexist, how we can all live a healthy lifestyle and manage our weight and meet our ideal weights and our goal weights. But this first slide is sort of talking about how those things sometimes don't go together. Sometimes you can be living a healthy lifestyle and not feel like you're at your ideal body weight or your goal weight. And sometimes the opposite are true as well. Sometimes you are right within your ideal body weight. From an outside perspective, they might think, hey, this person's really healthy and must live a really healthy lifestyle. But that might be due to other things that aren't necessarily ideal as far as healthy lifestyle and eating how we should or how we should strive to. So like I just said, sometimes weight loss can be stress related, right? So sometimes an acute illness can cause weight loss and bring you down to your ideal body weight, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that was your goal or beneficial. We'll talk about just briefly disordered eating and anorexia. You know, that can definitely lead to some people achieving what an outside perspective would be their ideal body weight, but that doesn't mean on the inside that your body is getting fueled with all the nutrients you need. But from an outsider's perspective, they think, hey, that person looks really fit and in shape and slim maybe, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they are living a healthy lifestyle. Again, someone's ideal body weight range or BMI based on their height, that's a term that I use a lot in my work as a dietitian to sort of see a patient or a client and say, hey, is this person based on their height? Are they at an appropriate body weight for themselves? And that is a tool that we can use to show if that person is living a healthy lifestyle, but that doesn't always mean necessarily the same thing. Something that's talked about a lot in nutrition is, you know, a bodybuilder who's really fit and in shape and works out and has a lot of muscle mass. Their BMI, technically, based on their height and weight calculation, can be considered in the obese category. So even morbidly obese, overweight, but that's just because they have a lot of muscle mass and muscle weighs more than fat. So it's not a perfect science, and healthy lifestyle and weight management always don't go together. Calories in versus calories out. So a lot of the times when talking about weight management, you'll hear people say, well, you just need to stop eating and you'll meet your ideal body weight just like that. Decrease your calories in and increase your calories out, and that's all there is to it. Well, yes and no. It's not, it's just, if only if it was that simple. It's not that simple. There's other things going on inside your body that affects how your body takes in the nutrients, how your body breaks down the food that you're eating and uses it as calories and burns it. Other aspects of weight management, like I was just talking about, so those things that do affect your weight, other than just calories in versus calories out, your metabolism. So your resting body metabolism, meaning the calories that you take in from your food, how your body breaks those down and uses them, it's different in all people, in all life cycles, in all ages. It changes also based on how you're living and how you're eating. Your gut health, so your gut, how your body breaks down specific foods, that's going to affect what your body holds on to and affect your weight management. Hormonal imbalances, hypothyroidism, things like that, where your body's hormones are actually triggering you to either hold on to weight or to let go of weight too quickly. So at that point, no matter how many calories you're taking in or taking out, it's not necessarily a perfect science, if that makes sense. Chronic disease, like I talked about, that stress. If your body's going through chronic disease, your stress level is making your calories be burned at a rapid level. So someone who is diagnosed with cancer, someone who has an acute illness like a UTI or any sort of stress-related infection, their caloric needs are going to go up. Their body's going to be burning a lot. That doesn't necessarily mean they're at their healthiest point, even though they lost maybe 5 pounds and are now at their ideal body weight. Okay, the good news. I know that was a lot of what ifs and a lot of question marks, but you can have it all. Really, what our presentation is going to be about today is that you really can live a healthy lifestyle and hopefully make it to your ideal weight, your personal goal. Okay, so here are the key points that we're going to talk about today. Like I said, lifestyle changes to meet both. You can have it all. You can eat healthfully and meet your goal weight. The first point we're going to talk about is how to balance your plate. So I know last time that we spoke in my brief introduction, I was asked about, what are the guidelines these days? Are we still looking at a pyramid? Are we looking at something different? What are the guidelines for managing an overall healthful, balanced meal? So we're going to talk about balancing your plate. We're going to talk about portion control and avoiding excess. We're going to talk about nutrient density, so making the best choices within each food group to make sure that you're getting all the nutrients that you possibly can, that you're getting the most bang for your buck as far as what foods you're fueling your body with. And then last but not least, we're going to talk about why it's important to fill up with fiber, hydrate, and of course, exercise when talking about living a healthy lifestyle and weight management. Those things are key. So we're going to talk about those. All right. Okay, so the first key point, balance your plate. Like I mentioned, last time we talked about what is the USDA recommending right now for us? Are we still talking about a pyramid? No, we are not talking about a pyramid anymore. We have switched over to a plate, which, thank you so much.
You need more though, let's count.
Okay.
I think I have 15, I'll make some more.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you to Francois for bringing a delicious snack for us all. Okay, so we're talking about a plate now instead of a pyramid, which I personally really like just because it's a lot easier to sort of think about when you're eating. Most of us eat using a plate, and thinking about balancing what you're taking in based on that dynamic of a plate. So really what it is make half of your plate fruits and vegetables, mostly vegetables, and then make 1/4 grains and make the other 1/4 protein. So there's multiple different sort of renditions of this plate guideline. This one is from the USDA. I really enjoy this one to the right of you guys because it really focuses on the vegetables being half of that plate. So if you can choose half of your plate portions to be vegetables at most meals, that's going to be ideal. The other fourth, healthy carbs. So when they talk about healthy carbs, it's talking about whole grain. So making at least half of your grains whole grains. That's the classic recommendation of when we have the option to choose brown rice, going for that option. That's going to increase your fiber intake and increase your overall micronutrient intake. So all the vitamins and minerals that we need every day, we're going to find a lot more of them in the whole grains versus the refined carbohydrates. So choosing that whole wheat bread, choosing the whole grain options when you have the option. And then I really like this balance plate as well because it shows a little bit about healthy fats. So in the middle there, healthy fats are also an important part of your plate. So those healthy fats meaning unsaturated fats, oils like olive oils, foods like avocados, nuts, those kind of things. So making your plate balanced is not only going to make sure that you're getting enough of the key macronutrients in your diet, those being protein, carbohydrates, and fat, but making that plate balanced is also going to make sure that you're getting enough micronutrients in your diet every day. So the vitamins, the minerals, the phytochemicals, antioxidants, those things that keep us strong, healthy, and our immune system working as it should. Okay, so balance your plate. Let's go to the next slide. Again, a lot of versions of this plate theory exist, but the key points is at least making half of your plate vegetables when you can. Making a fourth of that a healthy protein, so an unsaturated lean protein as much as you can and as often as you can, and then saving that other fourth of your plate for starches and carbohydrates and making the choices for whole grains in that option as much as possible. I wanted to include this Bastier's version of their healthy plate because not only did they talk about healthy fat and including a healthy fat choice in your meals when you can, so asking for a little bit of avocado on the side of your meal or even a little portion of olive oil can help add that healthy fat to your meals. But also they talked about the digestives or adding a probiotic, which that's a little intro to our next topic. So next month we're going to talk about probiotics and gut health. But I did appreciate this healthy plate version for including that. Okay. Our second key topic for the day is going to be on portion control. So balancing your plate matters, but what if you have a plate that is like this big? That might be a little too much, even if you keep it balanced. So yes, amount matters. Key points that you can start implementing or thinking about when in terms of portion control, if you're thinking, hey, maybe that is something that I could work on. Maybe I can watch my portion sizes. Ask for half portions. Split a treat with a friend or save half for tomorrow. So that doesn't mean you necessarily need to omit something that you feel like you really deserve or feel like you really want, but maybe have half now and half tomorrow. Drink water with your meals. Again, sometimes water is just what you need to feel satiated enough with your food. Sometimes I find myself feeling really hungry. I drink a big glass of water and that seems to satiate me. Sometimes your hydration sort of masks itself as your appetite when really you just might be thirsty. Stop eating before you're full. It's really true. If you're mindful, which I think that's the next point. If you're mindful during a meal and you're really thinking about what you're taking into your body and you're enjoying it with your friends, hopefully, and your family members, you're taking time to appreciate what is going into your body, and you're not scarfing it down so quickly that by the time you stop, you're just way more than full. And maybe you did make it to the clean plate club, but that's not always the goal. Sometimes it is, but not always the goal. So yeah, slow down at meal times and just make sure to savor and enjoy. Okay. So we're still talking about portion control, but how I did this was just broke it down again into those key macronutrients. So we're going to talk a little bit about protein, a little bit about carbohydrates, and a little bit about fat. So protein. Can anyone help me with just a key protein that they know is a any sort of protein that they usually choose or that they know, not even necessarily a healthy protein, but just a food group, any food that is protein that anyone can name for me? Beef. Wow. Everyone went for beef. Yes, beef is a huge source of protein. But any of our meats, right? So beef, chicken, fish. What about vegetarian sources of protein? There is protein in broccoli. But yes, cheese would be a big one. There's a big one at breakfast that is my favorite. Yes, eggs. What about like vegan or non-animal product source of protein? Nuts. Yeah. Beans. Yes, exactly. My favorite's tofu. Well, that's a bean, technically. Yes, so protein is so important. It's literally our building blocks. Thank you, Francois. Our building blocks for our bones, for our muscles, for our cartilage, for our skin, and then for our blood, for our enzymes, for our hormones and vitamins. It's very key in our life. And it's important to vary your protein. So all those proteins that we talked about, trying to get your protein, the protein that you need every day from different kinds of protein. So yes, beef is a protein, but trying different new proteins can help make sure that you're getting all the B vitamins that are in protein, that build your tissue and red blood cells, that you're getting enough magnesium that helps build your strong bones and support your muscle function, that you're getting enough zinc that's going to support your immune system, and that you're getting the omega-3 fatty acids, which are primarily found in fish, that's going to reduce your risk for heart disease and lower your blood cholesterol. So trying to vary your protein throughout the week, and having some beef maybe, but having some fish, having some tofu maybe, having some beans, having some eggs in the morning, all of that. And the amount, so the portion. Men 60 and above, women 60 and above, it's going to be 5.5 to 6.5 ounces per day for the average 60 and above male. And for women, it's going to be 5 to 6 ounces per day. Which, yeah, to me, I don't know about you guys, but think about our portion sizes here that you get in the dining room are going to be usually around 3, maybe 4 ounces. So that's one meal, probably at one protein. If you're drinking any milk or any dairy substance, that's going to give you some more protein. If you're having eggs in the morning, that's going to get you definitely at least to your protein goal. But focusing on that amount and knowing that, yeah, it doesn't need to be a whole lot, but it's very vital that you try to get at least 5.5 to 6.5 ounces for our men and 5 to 6 ounces per day for our women. Okay, we're moving on. Our next, carbohydrates. So again, that protein before, when you're looking at your plate, going to be about a fourth of your plate to keep that balanced plate. And the carbohydrates are going to be that other fourth. So the grains, we're focusing on whole grains. So carbohydrates, sometimes they get not a bad rap, but not the best reputation, especially with anyone struggling with blood sugar control or diabetes. Sometimes carbohydrates, we're always like, hey, we got to stay away from carbohydrates. But carbohydrates are really, really important. They're our number one source of fuel for our brains, which I would say is pretty important. Anyone want to give me a couple main carbohydrate sources? Where do you think you get the most of your carbs from?
100% whole wheat bread.
100% whole wheat bread. Oatmeal, yes. Anyone else?
Beans.
Brown rice, yes. Beans, yes. Exactly. Fruit, yes. That's a big one. So all of those are going to be carbohydrate sources, along with most pastries, most desserts. Good old ice cream is a lovely combination of all three of our main, minus really the protein, but definitely a lot of fat in our ice cream and a lot of carbohydrates. Sugar, anything with sugar is a carbohydrate, and I think that's where it gets its bad rap from. But that's okay. It's important. The recommended daily allowance. So this is the minimal amount that we have studied to show that our brain needs to be fueled with carbohydrates every day. So about 130 grams. That being said, some people with diabetes or some people who are just used to a lower carbohydrate diet do go over 130 grams per day. But in general, the recommendation is to get at least 130 grams per day of carbohydrates. But the typical American diet provides 250 grams per day. So I would say when it comes to portion control, carbs are the easiest thing to get. They're in most things. So I would say it debatably is the number one between protein, carbs, and fat that we want to focus on in terms of portion control. It's very important and we don't want to omit it, but we want to be focused on it when we're talking about portion control. Focus on whole fruits is a big tip. So fruits, get at least 1.5 to 2 cups of fruit each day. And that can get you close to your daily allowance of carbohydrates. Make at least half of your grains whole. So refined grains like in white bread, like in white rice, they've been milled and so they've taken out a lot of the nutrients, a lot of the fiber, and it removes the B vitamins, the iron. It's just not quite as nutritiously rich as the whole grain version. So that's why we want to stick with at least half of our grain choices to be whole grains. If you can up that to even all of your grain choices being whole grains, better too, yeah. Okay, we're gonna move on.
Question,
Yes.
what do you substitute if you're not allowed fresh fruit?
If you're not allowed fresh fruit, even canned fruit. Canned fruit has a bad rep as well, I would say, because it is a little bit higher in sugar, or can be higher in sugar. But that doesn't mean it's devoid of all the nutrients and all the vitamins and all the minerals that fruit has. Canned fruit still has many, many benefits. And I would say to still watch the portions depending on whether blood sugar is a problem for you or not. But I wouldn't shy away from canned fruit necessarily. Does that help a little bit? Okay. Oh, fat. Okay. So we are on our last main sort of topic as far as portion control. We already talked about protein, we talked about carbohydrates. Now we're talking about our last macronutrient, and that is fat. So fat is actually really important in our diet. not only for blood sugar control, but also for just making sure that we're feeling satiated by our meals. So I think sometimes when talking about a balanced plate, we forget about adding a healthy fat source. And that can not only mean that we're not getting maybe the omega-3s that are important for us, but also it might mean that we're not feeling fully satisfied by our meal and that we're maybe too hungry too quickly after our meal. And that might be because we're missing a healthy fat source and missing some micronutrients that come along with that. But that being said, it's true that saturated fat does have some negative effects on our bodies. Too much saturated fat is not good. Limiting saturated fat to less than 10% of your total daily calories is important. So saturated fat. Can anyone give me an example of a source of saturated fat? So this would be the no good fat.
Ice cream?
Yeah, ice cream sadly does have saturated fat. I wish it had unsaturated fat. Butter, yes. Butter, saturated fat. Candy, depends on the candy, but probably if it has any fat in it, it's probably saturated fat. Avocado, unsaturated fat. Yes.
Is margarine okay?
I'm going to talk about margarine, yes. So it depends on the margarine. Some margarines are what's called, have trans fat, so hydrogenated fat. So that's that next one. Avoid trans fat. Hydrogenated fat is actually a vegetable fat, so a unsaturated fat. Saturated, the easiest way for me to remember about it, saturated is at room temperature, it's solid. Unsaturated, at room temperature, it's liquid. So think of your beautiful arteries in your body and you want them flowing and making sure that your blood is circulating around your body at all times. You want that unsaturated, free-flowing, unsaturated fat like olive oil in that bloodstream. You want to avoid the saturated, so the meat fat would be at room temperature, it's solid, right? Like the fat on bacon, sadly, love bacon. But the saturated fat on bacon, that's going to be saturated. Yes. Did you have another question?
What about the margarine that they have here? It's soft.
Yes. So the softer margarine is a mix. So it's not going to be the best option, but it's not going to have that high amount of trans fat that the really hard at room temperature margarine has. So it's an okay option. Yes.
Where does Greek yogurt fit into that?
Greek yogurt. Greek yogurt is an excellent protein source. I would say that Greek yogurt first and foremost is protein. It definitely has some carbohydrates and has a little bit of fat, but I would say overall a protein source because it has the most protein. Yeah, and a good healthy option as far as getting your protein in at breakfast, for sure. Okay, so yeah, choose healthy unsaturated fats. Oh, I had them all here. So nuts and seeds and fatty fish like tuna and salmon, sardines, olive, grapeseed, and avocado oil. Maybe choosing avocado or nut butter to spread on your toast instead of cream cheese or butter. That's a great way to choose unsaturated, those healthy fats over those saturated fats. And the AHA would be the American Heart Association. So healthy fats are just big for your heart. They're going to lower your cholesterol. So think about that. I think a lot of us think whenever we're thinking about fat, if we increase our fat intake, we're increasing our triglycerides, we're increasing our cholesterol. But the opposite's true, actually. If you're eating polyunsaturated or unsaturated, those healthy fats with omega-3s, that's one of the only food items that's actually been studied to reduce our triglycerides and reduce our cholesterol, along with fiber. So get those omega-3s in and try and choose 2 servings of fish per week at least. So maybe do a fish Friday or a fish Tuesday. Okay, our third topic is something that I've already said a lot, which is a very important. Choose nutrient-dense options. So we talked about balancing our plate. We talked about portion control, and now we're going to talk about which options we should choose within all of those categories. So I liked this picture here because it's true. Sometimes, this option over here versus this option over here, maybe they're calorically the same if you have a lot of protein powder in that smoothie or something over there. But it's not going to fuel your body with the same micronutrient breakdown, right? So your body's going to get different things out of this option versus this option. And we'll talk about more examples of that right now. Okay, so first, I love this one. Our Lay's potato chips, we love them. They're a delicious salty snack versus our celery sticks with peanut butter. But nutrient density, so maybe that little bag of Lay's, about 15 potato chips, is going to be around 160 calories. Like 4, I would say, celery sticks with like 2 tablespoons of peanut butter is going to be around that same amount of calories. So that's 2 different options, exactly the same amount of calories. But what do you think your body is going to feel more satiated from? In my personal opinion, I would say 4 celery sticks and 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, you're going to feel pretty satiated and full from that snack. Whereas one little, basically handful of potato chips, if anything, I'm going to feel more hungry after that snack because I'm going to have my salty taste buds going. Yes?
How much water at each meal? Now, I was drinking a whole 8 ounces,
Mm-hmm.
and 4 ounces of cranberry juice.
Okay.
That's a lot of, even though I've been talking to the doctor about it. Isn't that too much water at that point for each meal? 8 ounces and 4 cranberry juice, 4 ounces of cranberry juice?
No, unless there's something else going on and there's some reason that a fluid restriction would be in place, that I wouldn't say that's too much.
That's not too much?
Yeah, 8 to 16 cups of water would be recommended. 8 to 16 8-ounce cups of water would be recommended per day.
I don't drink any only at meal times. I don't drink outside of meal times. So it would be proper to have that.
Yes, at least that.
Last
Yes,
question.
exactly. Yes.
For breakfast, I have 1 hard-boiled egg. I only eat the white.
Okay.
What am I missing? And then also I have the porridge, oatmeal.
Okay.
Some raisins only, not the other stuff at all.
Okay.
And then I have maybe a piece of meat occasionally, and 1 rye bread with peanut butter on it. And I'm missing something else in that meal.
You feel like you're missing something, or you're asking me?
I feel like I've got most of it in there.
Yeah.
But I could be missing something with the dry bread and peanut butter, 1 hard-boiled egg, only the white part of each, and then oatmeal with raisins only, and sometimes no donuts, but
That sounds.
a little snack.
What you just described sounds like a balanced breakfast for sure. You have your healthy fat from that peanut butter. You have your protein from your egg. You have some fiber from your oatmeal.
Okay, then,
Yeah.
and a piece of ham once in a while, that's okay.
Yeah.
What about
Okay, that
milk?
would be normal then, right? Okay.
It sounds like
How
you're
much
doing a
is
good
what?
job.
What is the average? No.
It sounds like you're doing a good job at breakfast, for sure.
Okay.
What about
Thank you.
milk?
What about milk? Milk is a good source of protein. It also has some fat. So the debate on whether to choose a low-fat milk product or a high-fat milk product is still up in the air. If you're more worried about calories, I would say choose that low-fat milk product, or even an alternative milk product that doesn't have the fat that the full-fat milk does. So like a soy milk or a alternative milk product. Yes.
What peanut butter
What peanut butter?
Yes.
What do you mean? Elaborate.
Is all peanut butter crunchy? Is healthy? No, is all peanut butter is healthy because what hydrogenated oils are in peanut butter to make it stay
Thick.
at room temperature, whereas with the natural peanut butter, it has to be refrigerated at all times.
Yes, I would say there definitely is a hierarchy of peanut butters, but all the peanut butters are going to have the protein in them. So if you're focused on getting in some protein at breakfast, it's a good option no matter what kind. But if you're worried about your fat intake or sugar intake or salt intake, then there's definitely a hierarchy. Okay, 2 more points here. Again, when talking about nutrient density versus caloric density. Something can be very, very high in calories, but very, very low in nutrients. And the same around. Something can be really, really low in calories and really, really high in nutrients. So when talking about living a healthy lifestyle and weight management, we want to go for the latter. Let's choose really, really high nutrient-dense foods. AKA, anyone have any thoughts on what would be like a really high nutrient-dense food? And there are actual lists of percentages of what food groups have the highest amount of nutrients, vitamins, minerals in them. Does anyone?
Spinach?
Yes, leafy greens. Leafy greens would probably be the highest nutrient-dense food that you could choose, and also very low in calories. Same with berries or colorful fruits like blueberries, blackberries, strawberries, things like that. But most fruits and vegetables.
What about oatmeal?
Oatmeal is going to be coming up in our next slide because we're going to talk about fiber, and that's where oatmeal really is the best option. So again, another point of nutrient density, a Snickers bar, 260 calories, there it is, this whole plate of deliciously nutrient-dense fruits comes out to be around 259 calories. I would think I would be very full after eating this plate versus that Snickers bar. Not to be said that eating this much fruit won't raise your blood sugar, because it still will. That's a lot of sugar either way, but a lot more nutrition right here. And probably you're going to feel a lot more satiated after choosing nutrient-dense foods. Okay, and yes, so food is your fuel. The important part of choosing foods that are nutrient-dense is because foods, at the end of the day, even though they can all be broken down into their protein, carbs, or fat, and that's what gives the food the calories that we need, they're more than that, right? There are micronutrients, all of our vitamins and minerals that do so much for our bodies and make us function as we can, are vital for our lives. So if we're not taking a multivitamin supplement, the only way we're getting all the vital micronutrients is through our food. And that's why choosing foods that are nutrient dense are not only going to satiate our bodies, because we're going to get everything that we need out of them. So again, it's about choosing food that have more bang for your buck. You're going to get the most out of them because they're the fuel for your bodies and for your minds. So opt for whole grains, snack on fruits and veggies, and choose unsaturated fats when you can. All right, and our last and final point. This is going to be quick, but it's very important when talking about general healthful eating and weight management. Fill up on fiber, hydrate, and exercise. So getting enough fiber from whole grains, fruits, and vegetables to curb hunger. Fiber is actually a non-digested part of the food that we're eating. So that means that the fruit the vegetables, the grains that are high in fiber, they're usually less calories because that fiber isn't actually digested or fully broken down in your body. It works to help move the rest of your food through your body so that you're having healthy stools and healthy bowel management. And it works to make sure your gut health is acting as it should. So getting enough fiber is vital for not only that, but also to curb hunger. If you're eating a lot of fiber, again, you're going to feel more satiated. You're going to take in less calories overall throughout the day. And you're going to have a healthy GI system and healthy bowel management. Second point, hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. Like we talked about, declining thirst doesn't necessarily mean that you don't need water. You might not feel thirsty, but water makes up more than 70% of our body. It's vital for our cells. And a lot of the times, like I mentioned previously, sometimes when your brain thinks, ooh, I'm hungry, I need a snack, sometimes you're actually thirsty. I say always start your day off with a glass of water. I would say always drink at least a glass of water. And this is in general. Some people have different electrolyte balancing situations that they're going through. But in general, I would say at least drink an 8-ounce glass of water with each of your meals. Drink an 8-ounce glass of water when you wake up in the morning. And then find different times throughout the day where you can make it a sustainable habit to drink another glass of water and add more hydration. Yes, Mr. Jake?
Does coffee count?
Technically, yes, it does because it is fluid, but also it's a diuretic. So sometimes it means that you're going to lose that fluid very quickly, and it doesn't always balance out perfectly. So I'm not going to say don't drink your coffee, but drink your coffee and drink an extra glass of water. And exercise. So the recommendation is to get at least 150 to 300 minutes of moderate intensity aerobic activity per week for older adults. And I liked what I read. The moderate intensity aerobic activity, I guess there's a test, meaning it's called the talking/singing test. And in order for your exercise to be moderate intensity, you should be able to talk. So when you're like taking your walk around the circle, you should be able to talk and say hello, but you shouldn't be able to sing, or else you're not walking fast enough. So I'm really looking forward to hearing you guys all try to sing and not be able to on your walks from now on. That's the test. You should be able to talk, but you shouldn't be able to sing. And then muscle strengthening activity 2 days per week. So again, focusing on not only your aerobic, so getting your walks in, but also using weights that we have here or weights that we have in the gym or your own personal weights to actually strengthen your muscles at least 2 times a week is recommended. Okay, and I want to leave every nutrition class talking about specific challenges. So whenever trying to make a lifestyle change or a habit, it's always important that we're making our own goals for ourselves and that they're individualized and that they're specific and that they're measurable and that we feel like we can achieve them. So whether it's 1 or 2 things, I would love for you all to set yourselves up with some November healthy eating / weight management goals. So whether that be, I put some tips up here, but these are all pretty general. I would love for you all to just take some time maybe today and think about 1 or 2 things that you could do, maybe adding fiber to your meals by having a bowl of oatmeal in the morning, or increasing your fluid intake or your water intake by saying, for the rest of this month, I'm going to wake up every day and start my day off with a glass of water. As easy as that. Or I'm going to try and increase my physical activity and make sure that I can't sing while I'm going around on my walks every day. Just something small and measurable and something that you know that you can achieve if you put your mind to it, because that's the only way that we really affect sustainable change, right? And living a healthy lifestyle and general healthful eating isn't about saying no to ice cream forever necessarily, or isn't it about cutting out something that you love completely forever. It's about making tiny little small changes where you can and adjusting things so that overall you're feeling better and you're fueling your bodies with foods that make you feel good. Okie doke. And that's it for me. And I'm going to ask any questions. Yes, Mr. Drake.
How does one determine their ideal weight?
I would love to help you with that. So it's a quick equation based on your height. And yeah, I would love to help anyone with that wants to know. Yes. Next month, I can't believe next month is December already. December 3rd at 1 p.m., we're going to be talking about fiber and prebiotics and probiotics and gut health. So if you're interested in that, please come and tell your friends to come. And thank you so much for Diana for recording this. You rock. And any questions? Yes.
Can you explain the difference between just eating egg whites compared to whole egg?
Yes. So cholesterol is the main reason why a lot of doctors, physicians, and people generally stopped eating the egg yolk, because egg yolk itself has cholesterol in it. But the most recent studies have shown that although there is physical cholesterol in the egg yolk, it doesn't translate to the cholesterol in your body. So if you're struggling with cholesterol or your cholesterol levels are high, my recommendation would be to actually increase your fiber intake, increase your healthy fat intake, your unsaturated fat intake, like your olive oils or nuts or avocados or fish, specifically walnuts, and actually not stress too much about the cholesterol in your egg yolks. Again, egg whites, you're still going to be getting protein, but egg yolks also have a lot of nutrients and nutrition that you might be missing out on. Any other questions? All right. And thank you so much. Thank you. One more thing. I'm working on doing my Ask the Dietitian box, so look out for that. It's either going to be posted by the comment cards for dietary or here by the coffee station. But just when that does go up, look out for it and just drop any questions you have. And then I'll do a sort of a segment, hopefully next month, with whatever questions I got to answer those during that segment. And that's it.